Hi y'all, this is Larry at Deep South, Texas, and we're back in the kitchen again today for another cheese adventure. We'll be making Gouda today. This is a Dutch cheese, and it's also a washed curd cheese. It should be really interesting. My utensils and my pots that I will use have all been boiled and sanitized, so we're ready to get started. And for ingredients, we'll be using 3 gallons of whole milk. It has been, if I can get this focused, low temperature pasteurized and not homogenized. So this is a new milk for me to use when making cheese. So we'll see how it goes. We also have Mesophilic direct set starter culture. We'll be using a pack and a half of this. Calcium chloride. We'll use 3/4 teaspoon diluted in a 1/4 cup of non-chlorinated water. And rennet, again, we'll be using 3/4 teaspoon diluted in a 1/4 cup of non-chlorinated water. So let's get this milk in the pot and start heating it up. So in goes the last of the milk. This milk is 4.6% butterfat, so a little bit higher than the standardized milk I get from the grocery store. So it's all in. Now let's get it on the double boiler and start heating it up. We're going to heat it to 86 degrees Fahrenheit. So the milk is in the double boiler. We'll get back to you when it gets up to the proper temperature. So my milk has reached 86 degrees, and now I'm going to just sprinkle on a package and a half of the Mesophilic culture. And we'll let that set for 5 minutes and then stir it in. And then we'll let it set for 30 minutes to ripen the milk. The 30-minute wait is up, and it's time to add the calcium chloride. Get that stirred in thoroughly. And now we're going to add the rennet. And stir that in. And we can stir this for 1 minute, then we have to stop. Now we'll let that set for 40 minutes and come back and see if the milk has set up into a curd, and if it has, then we'll cut the curd. Time's up. Let's see if we got a good set here in the curd. Yeah, that looks real good. Time to cut the curd. So I just purchased a real curd cutting knife. I don't know quite what to think about it. I've been using a bread knife so far. We'll see how this works. So we're going to cut this into 1/2-inch cubes. So we'll cut it this way, and then we'll cut it this way, and then cut it diagonally. Well, the curd has been cut, and now we're going to let the curd sit and heal up for 5 minutes. This new curd knife certainly did a different kind of job than what I'm used to, so I'm not sure. We may have some pretty big chunks in there. I think I need a little practice with this new knife. We'll be back in 5 minutes. The curds have healed, so now it's time to gently stir the curds, cut up any big ones that we see, and we'll stir this for 15 minutes. And I've got lots of big ones in here. So I've been stirring the curds for 15 minutes, and that's what they look like now. Now we're going to let the curds sink to the bottom, 3 or 4 minutes, and then we're going to begin the washing process. Gouda is a washed curd cheese. The washing process will involve removing some of the whey and replacing it with hot water. That not only removes some of the acid from the cheese, but it also helps heat the curds, and it is part of the cooking process for this type of cheese. So we'll come back when we're ready to start removing the whey. Okay, let's start removing some whey. I'm using this strainer here so that I don't remove any curd. I just want to remove the whey. Again, we're going to try to remove about 1/3 of the whey. And then we'll slowly replace it with water that has been boiled and cooled down to 130 degrees Fahrenheit. Now, the temperature of the curds right now has dropped from 86, it's down to about 83. So adding the water that's 130 degrees will bring the temperature back up. And what we want to do is over 15 minutes, we want to bring this temperature of the curds up to 100 degrees Fahrenheit. So let's give the curds a stir here before we start adding the water. Like I say, we'll add the water a little bit at a time. We want to be at, we want to take 15 minutes to get to 100 degrees Fahrenheit. I'm not ambidextrous, so this is a little tricky. Stirring with one hand and adding water with the other. Let's check the temperature here and see how we're doing. So we're at 90 degrees, so it's brought it up quite a bit already. We're just going to stir here for a while and add more water as we need it. And I'll get back to you when we're at our 100 degrees. So we've reached our target temperature of 100 degrees Fahrenheit. And there's what the curds look like now. Now we just can maintain this temperature and continue to stir the curds for another half hour. Well, I've been stirring the curds for a half an hour. And there's what they look like now. So it's time to get these curds in the mold. But this is going to be a little different this time. We want to do the first pressing underway. So I've got my mold lined with cheesecloth in another pan, and we're going to ladle or pour the curds into the mold in that pan. Let me get set up to that. So I have my 4-gallon pan here with my mold lined with cheesecloth. Now we're just going to try to, the best we can, ladle the curds into the mold. This pressing the curds underway helps them to knit up a little bit better and form a tighter cheese. So let me get that done, and I'll get back to you. Well, the curds barely fit in the mold doing it like this. Now we're going to cover them up. If I can find the edge of the cheesecloth here. Put the follower on. And then add some more of the whey back into the pan to get it covered up a little bit by about an inch or so. And then we're going to put this into the press. That should be fun. So I have the pan in the press, the mold is in the pan, and it's covered with whey. Now, we need to adjust the press, and I've got a glass here that's been sprayed with vinegar so it's clean. And we want to get the press adjusted. I haven't used these holes before, so they're kind of tight. I think we got to go up another one yet. There, we got that adjusted. That's in the center of the mold. And then we're going to put on 15 pounds of weight. For a half an hour. And then we'll take it out. We'll take it out of the way and flip the cheese and put it back in. So this first press with the curds in the way is something new. I think I've only done it once before. I think it was like 8 years ago. So we're going to see how this works. It should make a tighter cheese. Well, it's been a half an hour. Let's get this cheese out of the press and out of the way. Now this could be a little bit of a mess here. There, it's out. Let's move this way out of the way. And let's see if we got a cheese that holds together. Looks pretty good. Let's flip it over and get it back into the press the normal way. So we flip the cheese, got it redressed in the mold. Let's get it back in the press. Get it up just a little bit higher. There we go. Make sure that's centered nicely. And then we're going to put 25 pounds of pressure on. And it's on. And we'll leave that on for an hour. We'll take it out, flip it again, and then we'll put 50 pounds on overnight. So I won't show you that flip, but I'll show you when we take it out in the morning. See you then. Well, good morning, you all. It's the next morning, and it's time to take this Gouda out of the mold. Let's see what we got. All right, we'll get the follower out, maybe. The cheesecloth is kind of stuck to the cheese here. Have to be careful taking it off. Well, it took quite a bit of effort to get that cheesecloth off the cheese. I've never had one stick like that before. I imagine that's part of the a problem caused by pressing it underway. But here it is. It came out okay. Now we need to put it in the brine. So I have the brine in this bowl, and it's 2 quarts of water and a pound of pickling salt, 2 tablespoons of distilled vinegar, white distilled vinegar, and a teaspoon of calcium chloride. So let's get this cheese in the brine. Now, it floats a little, so we want to add a little bit of cheese salt on top. Now I'm going to brine this cheese for 18 hours, and I'll probably flip it in the brine 4 times in that 18 hours. Let's see you back when that's done, and we'll get it out to dry and weigh it up and see what our yield was. We'll see you then. Well, our Gouda cheese has been in the brine for 18 hours. It's time to take it out and start the air drying process. So let's pat it down a little bit. And we'll let it air dry at room temperature for 2 or 3 days. But let's get a weight measurement, see what it weighs right now. So I weighed the cheese, and it weighs 2 pounds, 14 ounces. So not a bad yield from a new brand of milk I'm using for the first time. So I hope we're going to leave this, we'll air dry this for 2 or 3 days, and then I will wax it and put it in the cheese cave for 4 months. And we'll come back and try it then. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, hit that thumbs up. Thanks for watching. We'll see you again next time.